Hello everyone. I am going to post a link in the description for this video on Facebook. I don't know how to do it on Instagram while I'm live, but this particular training session is going to be about assisting doctors in their search for a pet. This is going to be something you guys can really utilize this weekend if you're helping out at the Meet Your Match adoption event. Um, those may be monthly, they might be every other month. It just kind of depends on how full we are, how many animals we have in our care that are adoption ready. This time of year, we do get very, very full. There are a lot of puppies, a lot of kittens coming in. So that definitely kind of slows us up just a little bit on getting some of these guys out, especially the adult dogs that we have in there. They don't get adopted out as quickly when there's tons of puppies to choose from. So, with that being said, I do have the link to sign up for the Meet Your Match adoption event in the description on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, those are going to be in your weekly update emails. I just sent one out this morning for this week, so you should have that. Check your spam folder if you're not receiving the weekly updates. Oftentimes, it will end up there. If you are still not seeing it in your spam, you can always let me know and I can send it directly to you through Gmail rather than our shelter manager system. But we'll go ahead and get started. So there's going to be certain areas within the shelter that the guests can, visit on their own. They don't need anybody to assist them necessarily with showing them around. And those areas are going to include adoption dog kennels, the community cat and kitten playroom, which are the rooms by the front door. Adoption cat hallway is the hallway that runs to the feed room. Cat condos and Grayland, which are the last cat rooms at the end of the hallway. All of those areas are full of pets that are adoption ready. They are fully microchipped, spayed, neutered, fully vaccinated based on age. I think I said fully microchipped. What I mean is microchipped and fully vaccinated based on age. Their behavior is good. They're ready to go home today. So these particular areas, the front desk will let the guests know when they come in, just to be sure and clean their hands in between each pet. So some of the ways that you guys can assist the adopters in the adoption ready areas is by guiding them to pets that you're familiar with that might be a good fit for them. So if they come in and they're looking for a cat or a dog with a specific personality or a specific type, maybe a color of cat or a specific breed or size of dog, a certain type of personality, you can kind of direct them to those particular pets if you're familiar with them. If not, if there's an animal care attendant there, you can kind of converse with them, see if they know of somebody that might be a good fit, or you can just have them look around, see if there's any that they're interested in, and then they can go up to the front desk and kind of get some more insight on those pets and their personalities. You can also help them by taking dogs out of the kennels. If they want to take them for a walk and visit with them, you can get the dogs out of the kennel and leashed up for them and get them outside and then hand the leash off to them. With puppies, you can take them out of the kennel and show them or take the puppy out to the kennel area for the puppies and let them visit with them out there. Cats, if they're in the adoption cat hallway, and we probably will have some in the hallway for the event just so they get seen. Those ones, you can pull them out of the kennels for the adopter, the potential adopter, and take them into the get to know you room so they can visit with them in there. Another thing you can help with is just getting them a clipboard with an application and a pin so they can be filling that out. If they've already submitted an application, then the next step will just be simply taking them to the front desk if they need assistance with that. So when these guys are visiting any of the pets in the adoption area, like I said, you can let them know that they've been spayed or neutered. If they're worried about stitches, you can let them know that they are dissolvable. There's no need to make an extra trip to the vet just for suture removal. We do recommend that they have the whatever pet they're adopting checked by their personal veterinarian within the first couple days or week, just so they can get an idea and get their pet established in their personal vet clinic. They are microchipped. Once the adopter goes through the adoption process and completes everything, that microchip will update with the adopter's information, so they don't need to do anything extra as far as updating that information on the microchip. They just need to be sure that they're providing us with accurate name, address, phone number, so that in the event of a pet getting lost, we will have that contact information that's up to date, and we will be able to reunite the pet with them. They are also up to date on all their vaccines. If they are looking at a puppy or kitten, they will need boosters depending on their age, every couple months or whatever, up until a certain age. So in the shelter, they're going to be up to date, but once they get adopted, depending on their age, they might need some boosters later on. They are also up to date on flea and tick treatment. We do apply a monthly preventative on all the pets, but again, that is something they'll have to talk with their veterinarian about to keep them on that regular treatment. They're given dewormer upon arrival, every single pet. Afterwards, yes, that falls on the adopter, but they are up to date on that. And then all dogs will have been tested for heartworms. If they are heartworm positive, there's a good chance they're already in foster, so the doctor isn't even seeing them. At times, we will have some adult dogs out in the adoption dog kennels that are heartworm positive, and they can, inquire about them. We will pay for their treatment while they're in foster. So if someone wants to foster one of these dogs, that would be great as well. And then you can also let them know that their behavior is friendly. We would not put anybody that we were worried about being a bite case on that side. You never know what's going to happen in 3 months down the road or 6 months down the road, but from what we have observed, we seem to have determined that they have a friendly dynamic. So some of the areas that guests may want to visit that are off limits to them is going to be the small dog room, the stray dog hallway, which is where we're lining up kennels, because we're out of kennels in the adoption or the stray dog room and small dog room, and then the stray dog kennels. So these specific areas, you have to be with a staff or volunteer member to go into there. They can go back there if they're looking for a specific pet. We do have dogs back there that are adoption ready. However, we don't have space to move them into the adoption area. They are not allowed to go into stray cat room, the fungal jungle, which is where we keep cats with ringworm. They're not allowed into the quarantine rooms whatsoever, or the cat or dog ISO rooms, or the feral cat room. None of those pets are adoption ready. There should be no reason for them to inquire about any of the pets in the rooms at that time. Those are all medical rooms, or the quarantine rooms are for bite cases. So the quarantine rooms, they're not going anywhere until their quarantine finishes up, and a lot of times those in the quarantine rooms are owned pets, so they wouldn't be adoption ready anyways. The rest of them, the medical rooms, we don't want to be having a lot of foot traffic in and out of there. That's how germs get in and out of the room, so they should not be in those areas. You guys know as volunteers that it is staff only rooms, so there should be no reason to take them into those areas. Now, when you are taking when you are taking potential adopters onto the stray side, just make sure that the guests are not touching every single animal. It's really important that you're keeping an eye on them, especially if they have small children with them, because small children will want to touch everything, even a dog that maybe isn't friendly. So be very careful with that. Keep your eyes on them. Just make sure they're not touching anyone they're not supposed to. If they are petting on green sticker dogs, that's fine, but make sure they're sanitizing their hands in between. So one thing I would definitely recommend is before you take an adopter back to these areas to look at a pet that might be adoption ready, take some hand sanitizer with you. If you don't have hand sanitizer on you, just ask that they don't touch anybody while they're back there. So there's going to be a couple ways that you might be able to get an idea if these pets are adoption ready. That is going to be that they are past their stray hold, which will be indicated on their kennel tag. They'll have a green sticker, which is a good indicator that they're at least getting closer to being adoption ready because they're past their stray hold. They've had vaccines on board for at least 7 days and their behavior is friendly. And then a very key indicator is that they have been spayed or neutered. So if they have been spayed or neutered, if they do have a green sticker, there's a good chance that they're probably adoption ready. If you are not completely sure of that, always come to the front desk or ask a staff member and they'll be able to give you that definitive information. So Instagram, sorry you can't see this. You can't see the slides that are on here, but Facebook you guys can. Some of the information that you're going to find on the kennel tag is going to be the approximate age of the pet. That is going to be determined by their teeth when they come in. We can get really close on age by looking at their dental. So that age, again, though, is approximate. Sometimes, you know, poor health can make their teeth deteriorate a lot quicker, which, and then, you know, puts them at an older age, even though they may be younger, but maybe had health issues as a puppy or a kitten. A lot of things can factor into that. Their breed that we've kind of tried to determine based on some definitive characteristics. Their weight is going to be on there, whether they're male or female, vaccines that we have administered and on what dates. It's going to say if they've been fixed or not. We do not adopt out any pets without being spayed or neutered first, period. If they are not altered, they are not adoption ready. Now with that, I will say at times on stray side, especially before we have a chance to move them to adoption side, because, you know, there's no space, it's full, whatever. Sometimes that will say that they have not been fixed and we just haven't printed a new kennel card yet because we haven't moved them over. So again, when you're not sure, just ask a staff member or go to the front desk and ask them. Heartworm testing information is going to be on there. It's going to say whether or not the dog was tested and on what date, as well as what the results were for that test. We do not heartworm cats. We only heartworm dogs, and we only heartworm dogs that are 6 months or older. Just because prior to that, it's pretty rare for them to be heartworm positive. Also on the kennel tag, on the bottom left-hand corner, it'll say comments and markings, and that is where any biographies are going to be listed. Again, sometimes on stray side, we haven't had enough time to get a full biography on them. We haven't had a lot of time to spend with them. You know, maybe volunteers haven't had a lot of opportunities to walk them and get them out and fill out those personality reports on them. But if it is available, it will be on there. So a lot of the questions that they might be asking, you're going to find right there on the kennel tag, especially if they're in the adoption areas and it's been updated. So going into some frequently asked questions by guests, a lot of them are going to ask, you know, what can you tell me about this pet? Well, the hard part for a shelter environment is that we don't know anything about these animals until they arrive. Sometimes we'll have some owner surrenders and we can kind of get a history of the pet, but most of the time we're not going to have that information. So you can look into that bottom left-hand corner of the kennel tag to get a biography on them. If you're familiar with them, go ahead and share that information. But again, you know, your best bet is always just to ask a staff member if you're not 100% sure. We don't want you to assume things with the animals just because if it turns out to be incorrect, we can get a lot of backlash for that. So definitely just give them the information that you know to be true and correct, and ask staff members if you're not 100% sure. Oftentimes, especially in the kennels, there will be a staff member somewhere in there, and they'll know quite a bit about these pets from taking care of them every day. So another question that might be asked is, can I adopt this pet today? So before they can adopt anybody, we need to make sure that the pet is adoption ready. If they are housed in the adoption area, they are adoption ready, unless there is a specific sign on their kennel saying, I haven't been altered yet, but I will be available on such and such date. Sometimes if we get too full with cats in the stray cat room, we will move some into, cat condos with one of those signs, letting people know that as soon as the next surgery date is available, they'll be going through the process. Kind of frees up some space in the stray area, especially when we know that these cats are in fact going to be spayed and neutered and adopted out as soon as that's complete. The second thing they need to do is fill out an application. We need applications from anybody who wishes to adopt from us. If they have not filled out an application, you can grab one from the front desk with a clipboard and give it to them and they can fill that out. Otherwise, some of these guys might have already filled out one online. If they know their status, if they received confirmation that they were approved, great. If not, the front desk can look up their file and see whether or not they were approved. And we'll kind of talk a little bit later about some of the ways that would prevent them from being approved. But even if it's adoption ready, even if they're approved adopters, that doesn't always mean that they can adopt a certain pet that day. So going into the next thing, the next frequently asked question is, can I reserve a pet that isn't adoption ready? So yes, absolutely. Potential adopters, they can put as many reservations on as many pets as they want. It is not a contract to adopt a pet. It simply puts them in line for being considered for that pet. So if we get a adorable 6-month-old Shih Tzu in with a perfect little pink bow in its hair, you can guarantee that we already have 200 applications for that particular pet. But then again, sometimes we might get a dog, a simple black lab that you wouldn't think everybody would want, but they do. You never know. And we've also had some very nice looking, purebred looking dogs that don't have any reservations. So it's kind of hard to tell without looking in the system. But everybody can put in a reservation on a pet. It does not guarantee they will get that pet, because until we look at their file and look how many people have reservations, or if they have no reservations, we cannot confirm that that pet can be taken today. Now, if we have a pet that's adoption ready, it has no reservations, the potential adopters have been approved, there's probably no reason why it can't go home that day. We just need to make sure that there's nobody already in line for it and that they are approved as an adopter. Another question that we often get asked are these all the pets that you have? No. We have, let's see, I pulled the numbers this morning. I think there was 195 pets in foster. No, I'm sorry. There was like 205 pets in foster right now. It was over 200, and then there's almost 200 within the shelter. I want to say about 180 or 190. We have almost 400 pets in our care today. A lot of those are going to be out in foster. So probably going to be puppies and kittens that are too little for spay and neuter. Not all of them though. So they can go online anytime to our website, which is hsmba.org, and they can see all the pets that we have currently in our system. They can fill out an application online at that same website, and they can also, when filling out an application, they can list the pets that they're interested in so that we can put those reservations on them. So there's a lot of animals, a lot. So if they don't see something within the shelter, there's a good chance they might find what they're looking for online, and it's just in a foster home at this time, or maybe it's just too little at this time, and that's why it's in foster. So definitely direct them to the website if they're looking around and don't see anybody that specific day. If they ask what is included in the adoption fee, you can let them know that they are sterilized, vaccinated, given preventatives, microchipped, heart tested. In the adoption packet, there will be coupons for local vet care and pet supplies. And then they're also going to get ongoing support from HSMBA. We do have Eric, which is amazing with dogs, with training, behavior, enrichment, all the things dogs. And he will do house calls. If someone adopts a dog from us and maybe they need a little help with it once it gets into the house, he will go out there and he will give that support. He will show them how to do things, teach them new things to kind of get that dog adjusted to the new household. So we have lots of support for them. These pets are 100% ready to get started in their new home. The adoption fee in general is going to be $200 for puppies under 6 months of age and small dogs under 20 pounds, $120 for any adult dogs that are over 20 pounds, $100 for kittens under 6 months, and $50 for adult cats. Do I expect you to remember those prices? Absolutely not. But the good thing is, especially this weekend when we have our Meet Your Match event, all adoption fees are waived. So they're getting literally hundreds of dollars worth of, medical care and preventatives and these coupons and everything for free. That is how desperate we are to get some of these guys into a home, because we don't have any more room. We've exhausted our resources. We have no more space in here. So we need to move some dogs, and we need to move as many as we can. So if someone comes in, they're not familiar with our processes, and they want to know, how do I adopt this pet? Well, their first step is going to be filling out the adoption application, whether online or on a paper there at the shelter. Once we receive the application, we will approve it or deny it. And then once that is approved, assuming it is approved, which most of them are, then they can go forward with the adoption process if or when the pet is ready. How long until this pet is adoption ready, that's all going to depend. So if they happen to be on the stray side with you looking at pets, and there is a pet that is still on a stray hold especially, pets are not going to be adoption ready until they're past their stray hold, because up until that day they are owned by somebody else, and we're waiting for them to hopefully come in and reclaim. So if they're past their stray hold, if we've been able to vaccinate them, if they're displaying friendly behavior, and if they're spayed and neutered, they're going to be ready for adoption. That can take a minimum of 7 days all the way up to 2 weeks. It really varies on how many pets are in the facility, how many we can get into spay and neuter clinic each week, their behavior, if they're unable to be vaccinated for a week until after they came in, well, that's going to delay things as well. But we do try to get them completely ready as quickly as possible, because time is of the essence. The longer we let a pet take up space in the shelter, the more are coming in right behind it, and we get backed up and we're too full. So once all those things are taken care of, that's when they go out. But again, you're looking at a minimum of, I'd say, 7 to 14 days typically. Now, what if the adoption doesn't work out? Well, we're going to take the pet back. We will take back any pet that has been adopted out for any reason. We don't care if, you know, it's not fitting in with your other pets, if it ate your shoe, whatever the issue is, we will take the pet back. Doesn't matter if it was adopted a week ago or 6 months ago, we're going to take that pet back. Let us know, we'll take it back. We don't want these guys dumped out in the public. We don't want them, you know, rehomed to someone who could potentially be, you know, a not so great person. We will take the pets back. We want to ensure that, you know, we try again. We find a better match, hopefully one that works out. But we do not want them to be posted on Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. So when it comes to adoption applications being denied, there are a few common things that will hold up that process. So a big one is the potential adopter lives in a rental property that does not allow pets, or they have breed or size restrictions. Some places are only going to allow, you know, 2 pets, and if it's dogs, they have to be under 35 pounds, or they cannot be a German Shepherd, or whatever they are assuming are an aggressive breed. There are a lot of restrictions out there for rental properties, so unfortunately that does decrease our adopter pool, but that is one thing that, you know, we're fully aware of. All these properties, especially apartments and things, we know their rules. We adopt out pets all the time. We adopt pets to these places. We call and verify. We know if you can't get a dog or a cat in these areas. Another one that might put a block on their application is if they have already exceeded the legal amount of pets that they're allowed to have in their home. So if you are within the city limits of New Braunfels, you are only allowed 4 pets. That can be 4 dogs, 4 cats, a combination of the two, but 4 is your max. If it's, you know, an adopter wanting to adopt a hen, you are allowed 4 hens. In the backyard only. Absolutely no roosters are allowed in city limits. You can have, you know, typical pets like guinea pigs, hamsters, an iguana, whatever else. No livestock is allowed within city limits, so you cannot come in and adopt a goat or a pig from us. But typically, the 4 cats, 4 dogs, if they've already exceeded that or they're at that number, that's going to prevent them from being able to adopt another one through us. And then some other common reasons we run into is intentions of harming or neglecting a pet, giving false information on who they are, where they live. That's a common one. History of animal control violations. We are not animal control, but we work with animal control. We take all the pets that animal control picks up. With that, all of their information on all these citations, and anytime they visit anyone's home for any pet-related reason, is in the system. We're going to know about it. So people can try and kind of be sneaky. We already know. Now, every once in a while, and this has happened to me personally, I'm sure it's happened to all the staff members at least once. At times, someone will come in looking around, and they're going to say some things that are big red flags. Not everybody that comes into the shelter to look at pets has good intentions, okay? We know that there's dog fighting rings around. We know that, you know, people will get animals to be used as bait during dog fights and things like that. And some people are just psychotic and have crazy intentions with animals. So we definitely want to be paying attention to some of the things that people are saying. Some of the red flags to look for is any kind of potential for animal neglect. If they're talking to you about all the pets that they've lost in the past, And it has something to do with starving to death or dehydration, overheating, a history of pets that get ran over. You know, my last 5 dogs all got hit by a car. Well, let's not put number 6 in there because you clearly have a difficult time keeping them contained. You know, a history of rehoming their pets. If you're adopting a pet, but every pet you've ever had you've rehomed after 6 months, it maybe it's not time for you to have a pet. Maybe you got to work some things out before you get another one. Um, History of not providing any type of veterinary care for pets. Vaccines go a long way. I mean, parvo's everywhere. I can't even stress that enough. So this stuff is pretty important when it comes to proper pet care. And then sometimes we'll get some that have a very high interest in unaltered pets. Well, that's kind of a dead giveaway. They're looking to breed their dog with one of ours. We're not adopting out unaltered pets. Any walk through the shelter will be definitive proof that we have plenty of animals to go around and we don't need to be doing any kind of backyard breeding. So other red flags kind of, you know, for the potential of animal cruelty would be obviously indicating that they have some type of involvement with any kind of fighting rings or things like that, which good chance they're not going to mention that to you. Any history of animal abuse by them or someone living in the home. This one has been told to me about an individual within the home that killed their dog. So I have seen that or heard that. A lack of compassion for the well-being of pets in general. Sometimes, you know, you'll get some folks that just want to throw it out in the backyard and leave it there. And then sometimes we'll have some that are very persistent in taking a certain pet immediately and they don't want to leave until that pet is with them. That could be kind of a red flag that they might have been the owner of that pet, and especially if that pet was brought in for some kind of cruelty charges or something of that nature. If they're or it came in and, you know, it's starving or it was sick or injured, something that maybe they wouldn't want to admit that was in fact their pet because they weren't properly taking care of it. Sometimes we'll see that kind of stuff popping up. So these are just, you know, a few things to kind of look for. Really trust your gut, but also have some grace. You know, nobody's perfect. If someone says, my last dog got out and we never found it, it happens. Okay, I mean, that's not saying that this person is the worst pet owner in the world. Sometimes pets get out, right? They get reclaimed, okay? Sometimes pets wander when they pass away, or are getting ready to pass away. So we don't want to be too crazy about red flags, but at the same time, trust your instincts. Keep them talking, smile, act casual, get as much information as you can. Because as soon as your face changes to a look of shock, or you start putting up a wall of like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, I'm panicking, they're going to stop talking. Well, let's get some more information out of them while they're in the facility, and then we can put notes in their file. And if they are in fact a danger to pets, let's make sure that they're not adopting from us. Let's make sure we're putting notes in their file so that animal control can keep after that. Keep an eye on them if needed, okay? So keep them talking, you know, don't let your guard down, you know, but keep them talking, get some information, and of course trust your instincts, okay? Always discuss this with the staff too. You know, if you're kind of panicking and you're like, oh my gosh, this person's horrible, have them go to the front desk, fill out an application, do whatever. Let a staff member that's around you know, and they will send it through the staff messenger. We're all going to know, the front desk will know about it before they even get up there. we can continue talking to them and making these notes and things. And we're not going to send home a pet with someone that's absolutely crazy and psychotic in regards to animal care. So don't worry about that. And then just on a final note, if you are ever unsure of the answer, if you're questioning something like, hey, this dog came in 3 months ago, but the kennel tag on Stray Side says it's not altered, double check everything. We want to make sure, again, that we're giving them proper information. Um, so if you guys are coming in this weekend for the Meet Your Match event, definitely use some of these tools that you guys have learned today, or for future events that we might have in the shelter. Maybe you're just in on a random Saturday and there's guests. You know, if you have any questions about anything that we kind of went over today, you can always ask me. You can, you know, send me a message, send me an email, however you prefer to reach out. I'll answer any questions you have. And of course, the staff members are always there to help. We're all one team. We all have the same goals. So definitely reach out if you have any questions, because I don't see any that have popped up on Instagram or Facebook. So I will go ahead and close out this training. That is the end for today. I will be uploading this to the volunteer resource section of YouTube, so that will be available even after Facebook removes it, or I don't know if Instagram removes it, but if it does, it's going to be on YouTube permanently for you guys to refer to. And for those that did watch live, thank you guys so much for taking the time, and we will see you soon.